No, in this meeting, that's what's what. Yeah.
Looks like a nightmare to figure out who the others are.
Oh,
I think three maps.
I did this not just for that, but
Yeah,
showing similar frontages and so forth.
yeah, yeah.
Because that's the,
So this is the lot to be subdivided. Yeah, so it's coming around in there, correct?
well, we're
So it's got frontage to this.
not enough for two.
Yeah.
Oh, 5, 6.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, 7:00. This is the Newfields Zoning Board of Adjustment hearing for January. We, with our new system, going to move the turn because for recording purposes, anybody who's has something to present needs to come to the podium and speak so that it gets put into the system. So from the audience, if you do, you come up and you give your name, please. That way the artificial intelligence gets to put a voice and a name together. That being said, I'm Kent Lawrence.
Scott Stokowski, alternate.
What was?
Scott Stokowski.
Oh, okay, that. Huh.
What's your name?
Betsy goes.
Good job.
Steve Yevich.
Thank you. We're all just getting used to this system. Now, so we're here for case 2601-28-01. We have not a full board this evening. In that case, it is typical for us to give the applicant the opportunity to come back at a time when there are 5 board members here.
But you run the risk of a tie.
Because you cannot vote on it tonight.
That's not true.
Oh, okay.
What there has to be is 3 positive votes, regardless of whether there are 3 members here or 5 members here.
I think we'd like to present tonight, if that's okay with the board.
Okay?
I'm game.
Then I would ask you to present your case.
I'd like to ask, I was really pleasantly surprised at how thoughtful your application was. This is one of the few where I think people actually read it.
Well, that's very flattering. My name's Terry O'Brien. This is my wife, Cassie Penta, will be presenting this application for the exemption to the ordinance. And we are looking to subdivide that property at 12 Oldie Road, which is owned by my in-laws, Faith and Mark Penta, who are here tonight. So the ordinance in question 3.4.1.2 relating to the dimensions of the property. We have 228 feet of frontage, and based on the zoning requirements, we need 400 for 2 building lots on that property. We feel that this is the ordinance is preventing us from a reasonable use of the property for a couple reasons. One is the unique shape of the property. From the map, you can kind of see it pinches as it gets closer to the road. There's the other boundary lines are in excess of 500 feet, except for the one that's on Oldie Road. And then it has sufficient acreage according to the residential agriculture requirements. It's got over 5 acres, so it satisfies that. And the other reason is because the other reason why we see this as a unique situation is because it is on the borderline of the residential versus residential agriculture zoning. So it sits in a fairly densely settled neighborhood. Across the street is zoned residential, and as you can see from the map, it's fairly small lots. And so had that boundary line been changed at all, and we fall in a residential zoning area, we wouldn't need this ordinance. We'd have the frontage and the acreage to satisfy 2 building lots. So like I said, we think it's a reasonable use of the property, and kind of adheres to the spirit of the ordinance, which, to the best of my knowledge and my research, is about maintaining, the town's rural character and open space and all of those things that we care about and the reasons we want to live in Newfields. We don't feel like it diminishes that by adding this building lot. So having never gone through this process before in front of this board, I'm happy to go through the questions individually if that's how you'd prefer to have this presented. I'm happy to answer questions. And I just wanted to add the caveat as we look at, our proposed map and the maps you're looking at in front of you, that the reason this lot was chosen, and the property hasn't been surveyed by us, and of course that would happen if if we were granted the ability to subdivide. But the reason why we chose this lot and this building location is to minimize the disturbance to both the natural environment and to the neighbors, as far as like sightlines go, and the natural environment as far as preserving as much of the trees and the other the environment on the property, which is why it's so valuable to us. And the other caveat I'd say is that we are open to changing the lot dimensions of the proposed subdivision, should that be like a condition of the board's approval. We are not tied to that shaped lot, and the owners of the property, my in-laws, are also open to changing the building lot in a shape that would be more desirable to the board. So I just wanted to put that out there at the start, to get ahead of some of the questions that you may have. So yeah, again, I'm happy to go through the questions that, the kind of the criteria that we've had to answer individually. I kind of touched on a lot of them, but if there's any questions, I can answer that too. Or if there's another way to go about this, I'm open to that, because like I said, this is my first zoning board meeting. So I'm making it up as I go.
Typically, you would read right through the 5 criteria
Sure.
for that are required for a variance to happen,
Sure.
and your response to them.
Sure. So the first criteria about the hardship created on the property, again, I kind of touched on this a little bit, but we feel like the shape of the property and that the frontage being like the smallest dimension of the shape of the property, and it kind of pinches down towards as it gets close to the road. Like I said, that the property is zoned residential agriculture, even though it's in a residential neighborhood, are kind of preventing us from using the property, preventing us from, that's the unnecessary hardship that we've identified in the property. And then how will this result in substantial justice? We think that it's a reasonable use of the property and it's fitting with the character of the neighborhood and the surrounding area. And I mentioned before, the spirit and the intent of the ordinance, which, reading through the town's ordinances and the town master plan as it relates to housing, in keeping open space and keeping the town's rural character, we don't think that granting this building lot takes away from either of those. Like I said, we have significant acreage on the property, just not enough frontage. And the question 4, as it relates to the surrounding properties, like I said, it's in a densely settled neighborhood, so we don't feel we're changing the character of the neighborhood, as well as the idea behind picking this location for the building lot and the house itself. We're trying to minimize all sight lines from any neighbor. There are perhaps two neighbors that might have a sight line, especially in the winter when the trees are all barren. But we think we are planning on leaving, if approved, leaving all of the foliage and all of the trees on the surrounding the borders of the property. So from the street view, the house will not be visible for those abutters on the street. The property at, I think, 5 Evergreen, which is directly behind, will probably have a sight line in the winter of the property. And then the neighbor at 16 Old Lee might see the roof, but the way the land is sloped on that side of the property, the house is kind of going to be tucked in. Hard to describe as I sit here, with just the top-down map. But if the board ever wanted to do a site walk of the property, it'd be a lot easier to show why we've picked this location with the neighbors in mind, because that's not something we're looking to. Again, we're not looking to cause any sort of harm to the neighbors as far as property values go, or their quality of life living in Newfields and wanting open space, which I completely understand, and which is why I also want to live in Newfields. And then the question 5, as it relates to the public interest, like I said, we don't think it'll have any negative effect on the neighborhood. And more broadly, as far as it relates to the town, we feel that this fits within the town's goals, as I understand them, reading through the master plan and reading through the town ordinance, of responsible growth, and making more opportunities for young folks to live in town. And I know this board isn't interested in economic arguments, and I'm not here to make an argument, a financial argument in front of you, but it seems like the town does have some interest in, as it relates to housing, in making opportunities for young people to be able to live in this town. Like I said, upon reading the master plan. That's how I interpreted it, at least. So yeah, I think that's all I got for now.
Good presentation.
And one
You have
question,
questions, yes?
since you're right on the border, are you going to have water service or water and sewer?
Our preference would be to tie into the town's water and sewer.
Okay,
But if that were a sticking point, we would be open to not doing that and having our own water and sewer well.
I'm just curious, because that's like a hybrid area.
Sure, yes, the existing house at Old Lee is obviously tied into the town's water and sewer. And so that would be our preference.
And this is kind of a damp lot. Does it go, I mean, it's wet down.
I guess it's southeastern part, the spot on Old Lee Road,
Yeah,
is a meadow.
yeah.
So seasonally wet, which is another reason why we're trying to stay towards the other side of the property. Yeah, we have some maps. This is kind of, are you interested in looking at this? Would it help at all? So
The funny
this
thing
is
is
Old
that-
Lee, and this is, that meadow that I was talking about. And this is, this area back here is kind of where we're, it's a little higher and a little dry.
I wouldn't recognize this as Newfields, though.
I'm not sure where that picture comes from, but it's one I think we got upon purchase of, upon purchase of the property. She gave us some of that.
A question on the,
Sure.
when you submitted,
I drew that myself, if you can tell.
and I got a little confused, the 250 and the 350, it's 350 coming from the back of the lot and 250 across, or is it the other way around?
It would be,
Because I know we got this
so it'd be 350 down. Yes, and 250 across.
250
Yeah.
across, so it'll widen out on the back.
Yes, correct. Yeah, and that is not a professional drawing, if you couldn't tell. So
Understood.
I took some liberties there to fit it in one page.
And this lot, if it were to be granted, there'll be an easement or documentation with the other
Driveway?
on the driveway.
I believe that's how it would work. Like I said, it's a way,
This would have to also go through the planning board.
Okay.
Any subdivision, change of use of property,
Okay.
go to the planning board. They cannot go forwards with this subdivision as it is. They can, however, entertain the idea of this driveway being upgraded to a town road with a turnaround, hammerhead, and then having two lots. That will work. The other thing that will work here is accessory dwelling units.
Why, upgrading that road would be,
Grading the driveway for how many feet is the driveway?
yeah, that's,
it's probably 200 to 300 feet. That's just a
Yeah.
ball, but it probably runs about half the length of the property. Again, it was the shared driveway. I understand that's probably not ideal as far as the zoning board goes, but it's an effort to minimize disturbance of the rest of the property. Like I said, putting a driveway anywhere else on the property on the other side would be really tough and also, very expensive, I'm sure.
there are a couple of shared driveways just down
Gotcha.
87 on the other
Can
side.
I ask what the process is for converting a driveway into a road?
I would have to suggest, because I don't know the whole answer to that, but that in our subdivision regulations, in the Newfields ordinances and so forth, there's a rather significant section of subdivision regulations. And that's going to cover it.
Gotcha. I'll check that out.
I'm sure that Mr. Greenwood or exploratory discussion with planning board would give you all the answers to that question that you need.
Okay,
The new lot would have no frontage unless some conversion happens.
Unless we made a town road so that they had 200
Right
feet
now,
on that town, that's how that would work, would have to play out in order to make that
But assuming that does,
theorem work.
we,
Sure.
I guess I don't understand how the easement works as far as like which frontage is accredited to our property versus the other property. But we would be open to adding frontage to the lot itself, even if it's not where the driveway is, if that makes sense, like an L-shaped coming down on the other side of the lot, so that the property does have frontage, even though it's not accessed. It's accessed by the shared driveway, if that made the
I don't understand what you're saying. But is the road frontage on Old Lee Road is
Yeah.
228 feet.
Correct.
You can't expand that.
No. So again, I'm not sure that this makes a difference, but we could split the frontage in half. The existing,
The planning board has, and I'm going to suggest that would be very out of place for us. The planning board does not have the the authority to make a non-conforming lot, or let alone make two non-conforming lots.
gotcha. So yes, as it sits right there, the lot would have no frontage. But like I said, we'd be open to any shaped lot
Yeah.
that would make.
You have the 2 acres as shown.
Correct.
Um,
But this is a minor subdivision. Not a major. I just know there's a little distinction. They're just splitting off. one
Well,
lot.
what we're here for is the 200 feet of road frontage.
Yeah.
Um, and they are correct that looking across the road, those lots in a different district and are 100-foot road frontage. That's in my mind, that's just the fact that it's in a different district.
Well, yeah,
It
and
is, it is the neighborhood. However, all of these lots, the lots going around behind are all developed on the 2 acres, 200-foot road frontage.
Does the amount of road frontage matter if it's not 200 feet? Does it matter if it's
It would have to be-
70 or 110 or
It would have to
40?
be pre-existing lot for it to be like less than the book.
yeah, like,
Not understanding what that means,
If you will, I guess the best example is like in the village, there are a lot of, say, 1/10 of an acre to 1/3 of an acre lots.
Mhm.
Those are not 1 acre lots, which is the standard in the book.
right?
Pre-existing lot.
Right.
They stand as is. However, non-conforming lots, because they weren't 1 acre lots, for one person to purchase the little L section that went behind his lot,
Yep.
just creating a straight line, 30-foot change in the boundary line. It had to come to us because the planning board doesn't have the authority to reduce the size of a non-conforming lot. They could do something on the next lot, increasing the size, make that approval. But it had to be a joint decision of both boards.
so I'm still new to the ADU. What's your thinking on that? That this,
Well, for any ADU, they can put an ADU in association to this house.
yeah,
Now, until I was corrected, I thought we are in a little bit of a gray zone because we have proposed change in the ADU thing, which would have a limit to 950 square feet.
yeah.
We cannot go towards that with that allowing anything. Previously, we were 1/3.
Yeah.
So it might have been possible if this was a 1,500-foot house to build this 4,500-foot house and call this the ADU.
no,
or this big enough to make that a living house. However, then there's no boundary line. It's all
Yeah.
one, it's all one
it's
lot.
all one lot.
Yeah, and our preference would be to obviously own the property for a couple different reasons.
Yes,
Yeah.
I understand that. I have to, in my mind, separate all the faces out from this application. You're the face that's making the application. However, the book and the proposal is what I just try and focus on. Because as I've been here long enough to know that, well, this is whom I see here tonight. At some point, whether I'm live long enough to see it, it'd be somebody else owning these properties.
Right.
So we can't really.
Sorry to interrupt. Is the
No.
question at hand that while this may work in a family situation, that when it's two different owners, it might not be as appealing? Is that a consideration the board has?
No, that's just, no part of that.
Okay.
My thinking anyway.
Yeah.
Like I say, I got numbers here and I got numbers here. That's how I like to, think about this.
But the board has granted some, there is some precedent for the board granting, exemptions to the frontage ordinance. It's happened before, where a lot was approved.
Isn't it lost my mind?
I found one a couple years ago, and I'm not sure how long you all have been, serving on the board, that was approved with, I think, 90 feet. So again, I understand that we're not close to that, which is why I asked if the amount matters, as it relates to 40 feet or 90 feet or 110 feet, if that matters. But, other back lots, if you want to call it a back lot, have been approved before the zoning board in Newfields. So I guess my question is, what makes this less appealing or less desirable in your eyes to approve than some other cases that have come before you?
Well, I have to comment at the moment that I'm recalling a proposed division where they had 12 acres out back, and they had a lot closer to two frontages.
Mhm.
And we denied that one.
But each is different. And
Each one's different, yeah.
there are several shared driveways in this town. Heck, there are a lot.
There are, and I
Yeah.
don't know how the sequence of ordinances applies to shared driveways. I think the two that are on Piscassic, just around the corner, prompted some change in zoning.
Mm.
I think that sequence was that way, but I don't know that accuracy to that.
So what can we do here? So the planning board can,
Well, we approve or deny.
right.
That's basically our only challenge that we have is approve or deny. Does anybody else in the audience have a comments that they would like to? Oh, yeah.
What the rules are, yeah.
Please stand up and introduce yourself to the microphone there.
So
Speak in the microphone.
I will. Hello,
You can hear you.
little bit of a cold. My name is Faith. I'm the owner, Cassie's mom. I have a son-in-law who works for the zoning board up in Tilton. And he thought maybe
You say Tilton?
Tilton, New Hampshire. And
I know some people in Tilton.
Probably know the diner. He didn't want me to talk because I have a Boston accent, but I'm gonna talk. Oh, seriously. We spoke to him about this. He's been working he's a young man like Terry, who did a fabulous job. I'm proud of you. And he said, Faith, I don't know if it's gonna go through because of the road. He told me about something called the flagpole, where maybe he drew it. You guys can look at it, which his board has, I think, in the past done. So they actually would own, apparently, our driveway, which is fine with Mark and I, my husband and I.
Got to look down the road, though.
Yeah.
It's,
If
somebody will have to have their rights.
Oh, yeah. That's a,
Do not always get along.
no.
Yeah, next owner. If this driveway were upgraded and
That's pretty expensive.
you could both have 200 feet frontage. Bingo.
What do you mean by like,
If you extended
Well,
the.
this driveway would become a town road.
oh,
There'd be
I,
a turnaround in here that's at least 200 feet across here. Then there's 200 feet here and 200
I see
here.
what you're saying. He also said that. He said, call it Faith's Road. That's my name. But he said you couldn't make that a road.
Yeah, no, that would just, that would fly.
It would just be expensive, and then there's a whole process of the town adopting the road or approving the road.
Do we pay for the road?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's a lot of money.
And
It's
the bond,
It's
it's,
a significant difference.
yeah.
But you've never heard of this idea of flag?
Never heard it called a flagpole. The other thing
And all right, so in another town, the book may be different.
No, I know there,
It's, in some towns, this is in our guidance books, it describes that you may be able to do something in one town and not in another town.
and the other thing that would really kind of stink on this, the turnaround. The turnaround is huge, and you'd have this pancake of asphalt probably between your houses or something. I mean, I don't know how much, before that turnaround kicks in, how many 100 feet a road has to be before there has to be a turnaround.
I got to suggest that all I know is that you got to be able to turn around a fire truck.
Yeah.
Maybe a school bus, but the same deal.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
size vehicle.
we don't want to.
I know that would align with our ordinances. I know that, I don't know what the square footage of this property is, but if that an accessory dwelling unit now just goes through the building inspector and it can be attached within the building or it can be detached.
You've got the square footage.
You got the square footage means a small house unless that is changed in the future. And I've heard that there's been a little bit of talk about changing.
Yeah, this is, the legislature put our zoning, I mean, they dumped it upside down. And I don't know.
After the vote in March too, it will either say we have limits to our ADU or we have in 950 square feet, or our old verbiage in the ordinance of up to 1/3 of the of the primary structure. In this case, which one is,
Wouldn't
which,
be a lot.
no, but this could be the primary structure.
Yeah.
And this could
This
be
could-
secondary. That certainly could go that way and fit right in
I just don't.
under our current ordinances, not the proposed one that's out there now.
But if I understand correctly, going down the ADU route
Yeah.
isn't.
No, it's not two lots.
Well, not only that, you're left with a house, an ADU, and as time goes on, owners will change, and I don't know how you, and I know you don't have to be related to, I know
You
all
don't have to
that,
be
but
related, but
Yeah.
the owner has to live there.
yeah. Yeah. We haven't helped.
Comments or other discussion from the board,
Public comments.
public comment?
I sent an email from one of the abutters to you. I think they lived at 5 Evergreen.
I don't know that I saw it if you did send it.
Oh, okay.
I think the people that live at 5 Evergreen, that's my neighbor. I'm 7 Evergreen.
Okay.
Yep, and they're away,
I think they're in Florida. I think they've been away for a while.
right, and they had sent an email expressing their total non-objection.
Ambivalence to it.
Yeah, well, no, they don't, they're fine with it.
Yeah.
But I forwarded that and the letter, so you should have it. Because you didn't get back to them.
I didn't actually see one from them. I saw one from you that was.
Yes,
saying,
but
"I'll
that'll
be here."
attach it, yeah,
Um,
but that should go on the record.
I do want to just vocalize a little something. I'm having a hard time.
and who are you?
I'm Sharon Moore. I live at 7 Evergreen.
Thank you.
And this property abuts me in the back.
Hmm.
The stone wall is between our two property lines. So I'm trying to follow everything, but without any sort of visual. I don't know what the lot looks like. I don't know where the house would go. I don't know what the size of the house would be. I don't like, so I'm wondering if there's anything that you can give to the abutters to consider while, we're having this discussion so that we can have some kind of concept of how it's going to affect us as neighbors potentially. You know what I mean?
That is, the
Is there a
application.
restriction?
Did you get a copy of it during the notice of the butter?
No, I
It
sent a letter saying it was a meeting tonight, but I didn't get any information
Yeah.
about the size of the lot, what they were doing or anything, so.
Look at Mike.
I'm not positive of this, but I believe it's posted for the ZBA meeting, the documentation that we have
Which is when?
on the website.
Okay.
Available to anybody who wants to open it and take a look.
Okay, and that's the zoning board.
Switching, this one's clean. That's got my notes on it.
Oh.
I'm gonna need. You can have-
Very visual persons. I'm just like, oh, I don't understand what's going on here. But and obviously, I just want to make sure that, I don't have a problem with people doing things on their property. It's more, is it going to affect the value of my property? I recently lost my husband. So at some point in time, I will be probably downsizing, not any time real soon, but I need to consider that, you know what I mean? Like going forward, like how is that going to affect me?
Mhm.
So that was my reason for wanting to get up and say, what is it going to
What's
look?
this gonna look like?
That's fair.
And well, the only thing that I have to look at is the tax map that shows me the lot that is behind this lot that is of topic this evening. Okay, I guess it's time that we'll close the public session and go into the board's discussion, deliberation. We will have to discuss each of the 5 criteria. All right. So in the unnecessary hardship, based on the existing zoning ordinances, zoning ordinance requires 200 feet of road frontage on this lot. And the lot has 228 feet of road frontage. It is large enough to be subdivided in acreage. And jump up and down to have 5 acres. So the argument being that the odd shape of the lot is the hardship.
I think they were trying to say more that the hardship was it where it is. I mean, it happens, it's feet within a different district.
We're not, that's not what we're here
Oh, okay, all right.
to talk about. That is one way to get around this, would be to put a warrant article in a year out there to change the.
No.
Well, we're not doing that, but that could be done. Certainly, that's another way that I didn't bring up before of changing that. However, properties that are beyond this on Old Lee Road and behind it on Meadow Road are all compliant lots. That would be a little awkward.
Yeah.
As much as, and it's not noticed that we are discussing, that's a fact, that it is next first lot in the RA district. But the request for variance has no, it's not part of the application. All right. Let's see. Pages. So, any other discussion on hardship?
I will admit, I'm struggling with the hardship prong because a lot of these lots are often specifically carved up to have the minimum amount of frontage and then extend back. I mean, I live on Exeter Road and every property is like that. They're 7 to 12 acres and they're all skinny and they all have just enough.
And just enough road frontage.
Yeah, to have a lot. And I assume that was some intentional way by a developer, whoever owned it and subdivided in the first instance to maximize their.
Well, I'm trying to think, I believe that some of this was divided back when the Newfields Gardens, we call them, were divided. However, I know because I built a neighbor house to that one, and the gentleman, the grandfather, who owned several of the lots up that road, owned those. How that timing met with the timing of the ordinances for 200 feet frontage, I don't know. They're oldish lots. I remember Mr. Gerner living there. his daughters actually babysat for,
Oh, Bob and his, okay,
Yep.
no, I visited a lot, I know
that
that.
was the first of the lots. Perry Smith owned a bunch of them. And as I was looking at this, those ones are 2-acre lots.
Mm.
But you're right, Scott, that there are a lot of lots that are 5, 10, 12 acres, run deep, have just the road frontage. Other discussion on hardship? Okay. So on our
Except I'm having a hard time deciding which. way.
voting records, literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship. Those who believe so say aye. Okay, those who believe that it is not an unnecessary hardship say no.
No.
No,
No.
that's a terrible way to word it. That double name.
Well, yeah, Betsy, you're welcome to give it a shot. Well, I just assume, I just keep remembering one of our past members, if you ask the question the right way, I is the response.
Oh,
I for the first question, and that's the response for the second question. And okay, the variance shall not be contrary to public interest. Let's go
That's
into
fine.
discussion about this. Yeah, I know. Well,
Substantial.
it's also number one on this.
yeah.
Substantial justice is the next one on here. Okay. Explain how the granting the variance will result in substantial justice. Reasonable use of the property consistent with the neighborhood and the surrounding area. Part of the surrounding area in my mind is 2-acre and larger lots being behind it and beyond it. All of them with road frontage that's consistent with our ordinances. Okay, so those who believe substantial justice would be done by granting this variance, say aye.
Aye. Oh, dear.
Those who disagree, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Explain how the variance will not result in diminution of property of the surrounding properties, diminution of the value of surrounding properties. I'm not so sure on this one that it would impact behind this lot and it would impact beside this lot with
But it's.
with another building. It wouldn't be very
more than
visible.
2 acres. Yeah, and it's more than 2 acres, so I don't see how that's really hurting anybody else around.
That's
Because the problem is the frontage.
problem is the frontage. Well,
Yeah.
that's not what the question here
I
is.
understand, but
Explain how the variance will not result in a diminution of value of surrounding properties. I don't know. I know if it were built as town road and then it's a moot point,
Right.
but,
So I would argue it's a moot point whether or not,
whether or not it's town road or not. All right, the values of the surrounding properties are not diminished. Those who agree, say aye.
Aye.
And I think I disagree on this one. Discuss how the variance would not be contrary to public interest.
it is in the town's public interest to have another 2-acre lot with another house and another family.
It's more in keeping with how we grow.
Is it within, yeah. Within the spirit of how we're trying to grow. We just have more frontage.
Yeah, it's, if you will, restricted growth in the sense of lot sizes and frontages and that sort of thing.
Right.
Um, Okay, those who believe the variance will not be contrary to public interest, say aye.
Right?
Aye.
And I disagree with that. Now, spirit and intent. Now, spirit and intent would be consistent with the spirit, well, explain how the variance would be consistent with the spirit and intent of the ordinance.
I struggle with this one too, because I think of, that was kind of what I was going with my question of, is there any frontage whatsoever when I think of, oh, well, if it's, you need 400 feet and if you split it, each would have 180 feet. I can get on board with the spirit of the intent of the ordinance is largely complied with because both lots have the vast majority of what they would need to do to comply with the ordinance. But where one is conforming has 228 and one is going to have none, it's kind of, to me, in direct opposite to what the ordinance is envisioning. These frontage ordinances to me are often, in addition to aesthetics, which I think he did a good job of explaining, are public services, emergency vehicles and things like that. And in my prior zoning experience, sometimes you would see a letter from the fire marshal or whomever saying like, yeah, I don't have a problem with this if there's a frontage requirement that says I can get my, emergency vehicles up there. And I don't see that here. If you spoke with them, I'd be interested to know. But looking at all the reasons why a frontage ordinance exists and the application in front of me, I'm struggling with seeing that it still complies with it. So I'm sorry.
Those who believe the spirit and intent of the ordinance is observed, say aye. Those who believe the spirit and intent of the ordinance is not observed, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, on 3 out of 4 out of 5 of the required things we have not found in your favor. all of them have to pass in order to go forwards with this. Um,
I might get some good guidance from the planning board.
Yep, there is an appeal period if there's some information that hasn't come forward. That's 30 days. Okay, based on the 5 criteria, if there are 3 that have not passed, I make a motion that we deny the request for relief from Article 3, Section 3.4.1.2. Have a second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That is, the conclusion of the case. I wish it were easier. Not really as easy as, as when we used to have ADUs that come to before us and there was a whole list of things that they had to comply with and they come in with a full compliance documentation and it would be done. Thank you for a good application and good presentation.
Yes.
And I think you might find some help with the planning board. I really do.
You can't, yeah, you can go in there without a formal.
Thank you for being here.
Curious. They do the. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's because there's already the big lots coming.
It's a map.
It's aggressive.
Yeah, and it's showing different.
Chief.
Yeah, it was, you know, this, study and planning.
It's a different general. You live.
No, we've been here 30, she's
Happened, one of the things that it didn't show.
is it Dennis?
No.
Yeah, there's.
No, this is, I think he's next to you, the one better road.
Oh, these go further back.
This is roughly this lot.
Oh.
Yeah, that sounds long.
It is a stream.
Yeah.
It comes right down through there.
Uh-huh.
There's
He
2.
doesn't have.
I have, yeah. You have a. I'm in Danny. Yeah.
That's what we are, but those kids.
Joint seats are parting.
That kids
Are
are,
there lots of water and?
my kids, children are, that's.
Thank you.
What that's saying?
Pretty much. I bet if you did, that's why I thought the. And you know, I never heard that.
Are we still recording?
No, but they can be outside of the. Oh, yeah, well,
We have to adjourn.
yes.
Yeah, we haven't adjourned.
Does anybody have anything else that needs discussion this evening for the zoning board of adjustment? No.
No.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I
And so we